Hey, I'm Elisa, the Half Asian Tarot Queen. Thanks for checking out the reading. This is a reading for the super pink moon. At the bottom of the deck, I got the Magician, so that's kind of auspicious, like manifesting something. And when I split it, I got this Knight of Swords. So like this message of truth coming in loud and clear, fast and quick, and it's just sort of like something new is like coming into being. And it's interesting, like I think I might actually post a link to last year's pink moon. This is a super pink moon. I don't know if last year's was a pink moon, but I'll post a link here because it might be interesting to go back and look. But yeah, like I myself am like feeling like this bubbling up that's happening. Like I've kind of alluded to this before, but I've been kind of in this like pretty like messed up abusive situation for the last little bit, quite a while, and I've just been kind of like hanging out here in this sort of like self-protective mode, and I haven't like I've just been kind of unexposed from the world, you know, and I think I like needed to like, oh my gosh, take that moment, but it kind of feels like there's this bubbling up that's happening where like actually yesterday I just got this crazy news, and it's just sort of like, I'm not gonna take this shit anymore. Like something's gonna change, and it's gonna change now, you know. And it's just like I finally like rested enough internally and like processed everything to the point where I'm like, okay, this is gonna change, you know. Oh my gosh. So at the bottom of the deck we have the Devil, which is crazy considering what we have in the other decks. But what's interesting is the last two cards, these flipped out together. And we got the Ten of Wands and we got the Emperor, which is funny because this flipped out when I was just talking about how I'm like, this is over, like we're putting this down, and like I'm like stepping into my power, you know, because it's just like this is just, it's just gotten stupid, you know. I mean, it's been stupid, but you know, like sometimes you kind of have to like learn a lesson, like how did I get into this cycle? And like sometimes it can, like for me it's like this familial pattern that you like grew up in, so you don't even notice that you're like ensnared in it, and you have to get that perspective so that you can like not keep reliving it, you know. But so anyway, so I got the Fool, Knight of Pentacles, the Eight of Cups, and the Three of Cups. So this is wild because this is just sort of like, okay, like taking a leap of faith into the unknown, like stepping into the future, and like we're like making progress, you know. Like the Knight of Pentacles is the slowest moving knight in the deck, but like he's sustainable, like he builds things that last, you know. And so it's just like even though we're taking this like wild leap of faith, like we're stepping out on like a solid foundation, and we're walking away from something that doesn't serve us, that hasn't served us, and we're going towards our people. It's so crazy because I kind of like pre-pulled cards from like 3 or, you know, 4 or 3 different decks, and like it's kind of like the same message that's coming through, and it's pretty much what I've just said. But you know, like there's this toxic pattern that's like needing to be broken, you know. And so it's like when I go to the mystical shaman, at the bottom we have the lower world. So, you know, this is like the disowned parts of ourselves, the shadow, like our dark side, you know. And so, but the whole thing is like when you can like embrace the lesson or whatever part of yourself that you haven't been able to accept or face, then it becomes your power, you know. Like you release it, and then it becomes power, And like, so this is followed by the medicine wheel, you know? So it's just sort of like, the medicine wheel is this process of evaluation where you're sort of like, okay, like, what in my life is like no longer serving me, and like, what do I need to let go of so that I can bring my true north into the future, like where I'm supposed to be, and like come into alignment with who I'm supposed to be, you know? And so it's like, this is followed by the owl, and the owl is like super wise and has like clear vision, like even in the night, even in the dark, you know? So like this owl is able to see with clarity, even though things are like kind of effed up, you know? Like the owl sees like the truth, and like can follow the guidance to like get out of like whatever this toxic situation is, so that they can like move on to better things, you know? And so then that's followed by the spiral, which is this card that's all about like having like repeating cycles in your life until you finally like understand the pattern and like why you've been in it, and then like you finally sort of like graduate into the next phase of your life. And then this is followed by community, like embracing. It's so funny because it's like we're walking away from this emotionally disappointing situation that's not serving us towards our community, towards our people. And that's what that, so it's just wild, like these the messages. And then like in the underneath part of the deck, we have the beloved. So this is like a deep connection or a soulmate connection. But it's interesting because like, it's like opening up to your community, to the love that's out there for you, or to the people, you know? And that's like part of what's going to bring you out of like this, for lack of a better word, hellhole. So it's so crazy because like I was just thinking like, well, all these messages were coming through yesterday. Like, it's a long story, but there's like all these different situations that have happened in my life that are kind of like demonstrating sort of the same thing, and they're all sort of like climaxing in this way where I'm just like, really? Like, okay, you know, really that's what you're gonna do? Okay. But some of them it's just like a long story to explain, but like I've been just like totally, like I said, like in self-protective mode. And it's funny that this card comes up because like literally like yesterday, like I was talking to one of my like exes, because I've literally been off the grid, like not even like, I don't even want to be around people, like I'm just done. And I got this message from him that was just like, it was kind of randy and this like really blunt, and like where it's just sort of like you're like, what, you know? I'm just like, oh my god. It was just like a harsh reality check where you're just sort of like I don't know why this is coming up right now, but we did have the Knight of Swords that came through. And so yeah, like for me that happened like in a couple different ways yesterday, but that was one of them. That's like a short story. So anyways, I'm going to the Urban Tarot, and then at the bottom of the deck we have the Ten of Swords, which is like rock bottom. Like it can't get any worse, you know? And then we have cruelty, like this abusive situation, you know? But then we have, that's followed by power, like the Four of Pentacles, where it's just like you're kind of starting to get your bearings and figure out like your own power. Like, I don't gotta put up with this, like I don't need this, you know? Like how am I gonna like turn this around, you know, and bring in like happiness for myself, you know? And so it's just sort of like there's this situation, and it's kind of like at this turning point, this dominion, where you've been trapped in this sort of like oppressive situation that's like unfair, unjust, and just like BS, you know? But then it's like we've got the universe, which is another card of just like ascending, like graduating from the situation, because you finally figured out the pattern, you know, like how this needs to go, you know. And so then I picked some from the animal spirit, and it's just like interesting because like I got these, they're all like kind of predatory creatures. Like I got the shark, I got the wolf, and I got the vulture. And it's interesting because like in my 20s, like I had this band called the Screaming Cherry Blossoms, and like I think we put out like 2 songs, but one of them was called Sharks, and it was this song that was like all about kind of like stalkers and like a stalker kind of situation where like it was super oppressive, you know. And it's on Spotify, you could look it up if you want. But in this case, this is kind of like the Knight of Swords, where it's just like there's something that needs to come to the surface. It needs to be exposed. Like it's like this dark shadow element that needs to come to the light, you know. And then we have the wolf, which, you know, in this particular deck, it's interesting because the wolf is like a pack animal. So this is all about sort of like having reverence for the pack and like keeping in mind like what's best for like everyone to like keep the pack together, you know, which is interesting. Because, you know, I'm like talking about all this like breaking free and like, you know, but it's like keep in mind, you know, like the pack when you're like going through this moment, you know. And then we have the vulture, which is a card of like really like regeneration and rebirth, because the vulture like comes and like cleans up the mess and like recycles it into like what's to come. So this is really interesting because it's like a super, like I said, pink moon, and like it's a really powerful reading. So I think I might pull one more card from another deck. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to the Oracle of 7 Energies to pick the final card. Really interesting. Yeah, like I said, it's just like I'm getting this like super like bubbling up kind of energy, and like things are about to really shift. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I got that card again, because I've been having this total, well, my own like sort of abusive situation that I've been kind of alluding to. Like there's a thread about it, because there's this thread called Cinderella, and like it's sort of like analogous to that, where it's just a sort of like abusive family situation that like I need to break out of. And we got this wish upon a star. So like this seems like it's like part of like this Cinderella thread, you know. But it's just like, then we got like imperfect harmony. So it's just sort of like, this speaks to like a happy ending that's going to be like totally in this flow, like in this synchronicity, this moment of synchronicity where all this stuff is going to shift in this perfect way. Like, have reverence for the divine, because there's like, it's like almost like this divine intervention that's happening, and it's going to like shift all of this the way that it's supposed to be. So it's like, this really looks like a really big shift. Like, it kind of like expect the unexpected, because there's like a lot of energy that's like under the surface that's at play here, and that's bubbling up. So it's really kind of unpredictable, and like anything could happen. So should be an exciting moon. We'll touch base again soon. I haven't been doing as many readings because, yeah, like I said, like I'm starting to go back to work and rejoin my life. But I'll still be doing them here and there, because I just like to.